Ubisoft used to make amazing games, but nowadays they prefer to milk the Assassin's Creed name and shove more microtransactions in their games than the number of men who have been inside Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips combined. In the last decade, the quality of Ubisoft games have been going downhill like their stock price, but they still managed to release a few good games here and there. Ghost Recon Wildlands is one of those handful of games from Ubisoft in the last decade that are actually good. If you like Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, then there's a good chance that you will like Ghost Recon Wildlands, since it is an open world military game, but without the brainwashed schizophrenic body double and awesome 80s music. The story of Wildlands is very simple. A high-ranking CIA officer is assassinated by the Santa Blanca cartel in Bolivia, but instead of the United States government sending $100 million to Israel, they send in an elite fighting force of 4 dudes with guns to eliminate the Santa Blanca. One of those dudes is you, or in my case, Shampoo McTavish, a completely original character of my own that is definitely not based off any potential similar named character. You are flown into Bolivia where it is your job to take down the Santa Blanca whilst helping the rebels, who unfortunately are filthy socialists who are too lazy to actually do any fighting, so they take credit for your hard work. They betray you in the end anyway, as you would expect, so it's just typical commie behaviour. If they do ever decide to help, they usually do more harm than good in my experience, because you could be trying to take a quiet approach, but when they show up, they start blasting their guns at the cartel whilst you just remain hidden to allow the rebels to get slaughtered to continue your mission in peace. Essentially, they are just your meat shields for the most part. But how do you take down the Santa Blanca cartel? You destroy all 4 cartel operations in Bolivia: production, influence, smuggling, security. Each region of Bolivia is focused on one of these operations. Once you destroy enough of each cartel operation, you get the opportunity to interact with the head of the operation. Whether that's offering witness protection or just straight up killing them, it will lead you to the big boss of the operation, El Sueño. Each region will have you doing different things to destroy the Santa Blanca cartel depending on which part of the operation takes place in that region. If you're in a production region, you might go around and destroy some cocaine stashes being protected by Santa Blanca. If you're in an influence region, you might go after the shitty radio DJ that glazes the Santa Blanca cartel non-stop on the radio, or maybe even steal El Sueño's Bible. If you're in a security region, you might go after a corrupt politician that orders Unidad soldiers to turn a blind eye to some of the Santa Blanca activity going around in Bolivia. If you're in a smuggling region, you might go around and destroy some submarines or energy drink factories being used to smuggle cocaine into the United States. Although I don't understand why the United States government would try to stop drugs getting into the country, because we all know what kind of things they've done in the past. I guess you have to at least make it look like you're trying to stop drugs getting into the country. But do you want to know something else about the United States government? Ever heard of MK Ultra? In 1953, the CIA...
2 hours later.
Now let me tell you something about the Western world's so-called greatest ally.
1 eternity later.
Gay frogs! Whenever you go into a new region, there's usually around 5 or 6 missions for most regions. When you visit a new region, those missions are not available to you right away, as you need to collect intel first, which is always marked on your map. The only critique I would have for Wildlands is that you will notice that a lot of the missions are very repetitive after you finish your job in a few regions. There are a lot of find and destroy missions, find and kill missions, and other find and do XYZ missions. However, that is probably what it's like in real life when operating behind enemy lines, so it's not really that big of a problem for me. There are a few unique missions like filming a politician to blackmail him, but the most fun missions in this game for me would definitely be the ones where you get to blow shit up. Every region has a Buchon who are the leading figures of each region for which operation takes place in the region. Every single one of them has some sort of backstory as to how and why they got involved with the cartel. Some of the Buchons you just simply kill, and for others you kidnap and interrogate them. That's also basically how it goes for the underbosses who run each part of the operation. You either kill or extract them. At the start of the game you are flown into Bolivia with your lead CIA contact Karen Bowman, who introduces you to the rebel leader Pakatari, who immediately gave me traitorous energy. Unfortunately, you don't get the pleasure to have your way with him when the rebels eventually betray you. The first mission has you finding and extracting a man with valuable intel. After that, the game just sets you loose in the open world of Bolivia and allows you to pick and choose what you do and when you do it. In the end, all that effort to take down the Santa Blanca is basically for nothing. As he asks when you're cornered, it turns out that he made a deal to get full immunity from the DOJ because he offered the heads of 4 rival cartels. There are 2 endings. First one is where Karen Bowman kills Sueño. Second one is where Karen follows orders and takes in Sueño. In my opinion, the canon ending should be where Sueño is killed because after all, that is basically what you came here to do in Bolivia. The gunplay of Wildlands is fucking great. You can pretty much get through this game with just the base weapons, and that's one of the things I love about this game. All the guns are just guns. There are no levels or rarities for any of the guns, which is something I don't typically like in games. You can customize most of the weapons in your loadout to suit your needs. After a while I switched from the base weapon to something that felt more powerful to me. You can switch between third person and first person when you want when aiming your gun. Also, when you are in stealth, every shot is a one-shot kill, but if you are detected and go into full combat, the only one-shot kills from that point are headshots. The Santa Blanca cartel isn't the only enemy you will face in the game because you have the actual Bolivian military, Unidad, who will literally start hunting you down if they see you. Whilst the Santa Blanca can be taken out fairly quickly, every Unidad soldier is armed to the teeth with powerful weapons and armour. If a Unidad patrol sees you, you are screwed unless you can escape before the situation escalates and they start bringing in attack helicopters and trucks with machine guns. There are plenty of collectibles all around the map as you would expect from a Ubisoft game. There are weapons and weapon parts that you can collect, as well as skill points and Kingslayer files which reveal more to the story of the game. I should have probably mentioned this earlier, but Operation Kingslayer is the official name of this operation in Bolivia to take down the Santa Blanca cartel. You can upgrade your skills in the game to make you and your squad a more deadly fighting force by collecting those skill points and resources such as medicine and food. You have a bunch of commands that you can give to your squad, as well as rebel support such as mortar fire and vehicle drop off. Wildlands gives you 3 AI squad members which are all pretty good for the most part. You can perform sync shots which are very useful when there is a large enemy presence in an area. You get 2 options for recon. You can either use your binoculars or a drone, which can be upgraded to become an explosive drone, which is very useful for taking out helicopters in the air. Overall, Ghost Recon Wildlands is a very solid open world military game. My final rating for Ghost Recon Wildlands is going to be a 9 out of 10. I'm looking forward to seeing what Ghost Recon Breakpoint has to offer, but at the same time I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. Breakpoint looks good from what little I've seen of the game, but at the same time it's the same Ubisoft that released Skull and Bones when they had the blueprint for an amazing pirate game with Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review of Ghost Recon Wildlands, but there's some grass that needs cutting and I'm the man for the job.